years of trying, 20 years of frustration. Dale Earnhardt will come to the caution flag to win the Daytona 500. Finally. Third-generation star Dale Earnhardt Jr. brings him to the flag. Checkered flag waving. It's over. It's Earnhardt.
He's going to do it. He's going to win the race and the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship. California's Kevin Harvick does it.
You are the 2014 Sprint Cup champion.
The 24-year-old from Dawsonville, Georgia, is about to join his father, Dawsonville, in elite company. Chase Elliott is a NASCAR Cup Series champion.
Ah! Ring that sign, boys! Yes!
And the 1991 winner of the Daytona 500 is Ernie Irvan, the Morgan McClure Chevrolet.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the long-awaited debut episode of the Clean Air Show. Episode 1. We're going over the...
Before we go any further, I just want to tell you, you sent me that, and it gave me goosebumps watching every one of those clips, and it just did the same thing again, bro. I'm
gonna
ready.
do it every week,
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Intro and background. Thanks to friend of the show, friend of every show I've ever done, Chrome. You nail it every time for me.
Fantastic. Appreciation.
Thank you. Debut episode. Quaker State 400 at Atlanta. Playoffs, round 1. And this is the first episode. I'm AJ at One Lug TV on Twitter. Finally back in the NASCAR content area. A little something I'm more well-versed in.
And I'm not going to lie to you. It's been a long time since I've done one of these. Phil at PLS29. AJ and I were sitting here one night. I honestly think we were just having a beer, BSing about racing, and it slipped out. And I was like, AJ, we should do something. And he's like, I think I got some ideas. And we started bouncing them back and forth. Here we are, bro. I mean, this is like when we're not racing online together or whatever. Most of the time, this is what we do: is sit here, bench race, bullshit about racing, and why not do it so everybody else can hear our conversations? Some of them are pretty heated. I'm not gonna lie. That hat you got on, I know what that's aiming at. You got a little
come on,
big
man.
on today. Come
Just
on, bro.
saying, give me a hill, yeah.
I'll give it to you. You ran a good race,
dude. It's funny because, like you said, we're sitting there on iRacing, and we were just going over we were watching hour-long videos of old Busch Grand National stuff, old Winston Cup stuff. And it's like, man, we need to do, you said it, man, we need to do like a show where we just talk about racing, go over some old stuff too and all that. And I'm like, I've got an idea because I've been wanting to get back into doing some NASCAR stuff. So here we are, first episode.
I enjoy a lot of the new stuff, but honestly, there's nothing like going on YouTube and looking up a classic from late 80s, mid 90s, even late 90s into early 2000s. There's nothing better. Those Twisted Sister cars, just
perfect.
Can't beat it.
Perfect. It's like you go into an old video. That's my going to bed TV show. It's like as soon as I lay down in bed for the night, I flip on an old race. I mean, a race that I've known the outcome to. I could probably name you the top 5 from that day. And I watch it like it's the first time I've ever watched it. And
so I turned YouTube on this morning and I watched one video, and then it went into my next recommended video, 2002 Daytona 500 Warburton winner. Popped up. That's what I was watching. Yeah, old button.
Fucking Sterling Marlin really fucked that one up, didn't he?
Oh, dude. I'll never forget sitting at home and as a kid, I'm 17 probably. I'm like, what is he doing? Even I know that shit, he's done. That's it. It's all over.
It was one thing when the window net dropped. It's the other thing, him getting out of the car and just yanking on the fender.
I was just looking at it. Yeah. Camera says otherwise, bud. That was the one, wasn't it? That was the one where, wasn't it yellow already out and he turned Gordon down coming at pit exit? Wasn't that what happened?
I don't remember. See, it's been.
I know he turned Gordon, but I can't remember. I think the yellow was already out. Somebody had already wrecked, and Sterling spun Gordon at the pit exit after they had already taken the yellow.
I'm looking it up now.
I could be wrong, but I'm thinking.
I'm just looking for a picture of it, maybe. I can't find it. All I can see is him yanking on the fender in the pictures. Dude, if you ever get the chance, if you haven't listened to it, the Sterling Marlin Dale Jr. download is perfect. Granted, he's not health-wise, he's not there in his current age.
So we'll get into it later when we talk about a little bit of my backstory. But when I was working at NASCAR, one of my favorite races every year, Bristol, love it. But they do, I mean, the fan zone at Bristol is, you're not going to top it at any racetrack. Like they've done away with it at so many tracks, which I think is a shame. That's something like it needs to come back. That was a huge part of my childhood. And like, that was a big thing everybody looked forward to. But you go to Bristol, the fan zone is like 50 to 100 vendors just giving stuff away. And like, that's how, like, they still do it old school there. And that's what's cool.
Dude, I can't wait because like I'm 2 weeks away.
You've never been, right?
I've never been to Bristol.
Oh,
so
dude.
I think not this coming Tuesday, the following Tuesday, I fly out to Nashville for the bachelor party. And then Thursday, we're taking like the 5-hour drive to Bristol, and we're going to spend the weekend there for the race and all that. And I am stoked. It's a bucket list track for sure.
I've got some good stuff for you. There's some good places to visit up there. I'll give you some names. Dude,
there is 2 places I want to hit for sure. And I've already made this known that I want to go here. Number 1 is Pals. I want to hit up a Pals. And number 2 is Cookout, because I've never had a Cookout.
Cookout's a given, bro.
I think there's one like right across the street from the track.
We fed our family of 6 on vacation at Cookout for like $35, and everybody had food left over.
That's awesome.
I swear to God, dude. Like corn dogs, quesadillas, whatever.
A little Quasadilla action.
Dude, let's get off this lunch subject. I'm a little big guy, and you're making me hungry. Let's get on the subject.
Dude, I already told my fiance. I said we're doing football starting today. We're doing Hooters for lunch. We're getting some DoorDash Hooters.
That sounds good.
Oh man. So I mean, let's get into the backstory. That's how I kind of wanted to start the show. I'll be real quick because I've been doing podcasts and stuff for a couple years. Once again, AJ One Lug TV, Chase Elliott fan, Austin Hill fan.
Yeah.
Ross Chastain, Noah Gregson fan.
All right, I'll give you those.
After this week, Closet 2311 fan. Got my start watching NASCAR when I was born. My parents always tell the story about how I learned to count based on NASCAR drivers. Like I'd be asked a math question, and instead of like giving the numbers like 8 plus 20 equals this, they'd tell me Dale Jr. plus Tony Stewart equals what? And I'd be like Ernie Irvan. Like that's how I did my math.
Same way, bro. I mean,
same. So, yeah, dude, when I was a super young kid, I was a Jeff Gordon fan. 2001 happened, and as a 5-year-old, I became a junior fan, or a 4-year-old became a junior fan. Went through that long 2010s to 2017 drought of mediocrity, as I call it. Now I'm a Chase Elliott fan, and times are sometimes good, sometimes bad.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
Dude, it's like I feel like I'm one of the most down to earth Chase Elliott fans you find, because I don't just say that everything he does is great and he's never wrong and all that. Like I'll be the first one to sit there on Twitter or something, call him out on some bullshit. But not all the fans are top notch in that driver base.
That's tough in my opinion. That's tough in any driver base. You've got people who I've never been a big shit talker about like driver to driver. Like you and I, we banter back together, but it's nothing like serious. It's just bullshitting around. Like I know people who get
they get
serious.
Heated.
Yeah.
Like bro, you talk shit about Chase to a Chase fan on Twitter, like a normal or any Chase fan on Twitter. It's like you just kick their baby down a hallway. Like it gets serious. There's no need for that at all. At all.
I'm not distracted. I did find video of what happened in 2002, and I'm watching it on the other monitor.
Did he spin Gordon?
He did 100% spin Gordon.
Gordon was leading that race, wasn't he? Didn't he do it when
Gordon
was leading, and that's how Marlin got the lead? Phil's over there. We're just watching it, just trying to dissect it.
It's like it's an NRF video, and you know how he is. He just kind of banners on.
Oh,
and
dude, there's a lot of cut scenes and shit.
Oh yeah, I can't even I don't know. I just know. So he did spin Gordon, but I'm not gonna sit there and try to figure out if he did it under yellow. But they were battling for the lead, and it looked like Gordon came down, and they met in the middle, and he just kind of turned him to the infield.
Damn
But
it, Sterling.
they threw a red to review to figure out what happened. Like there was no damage.
And that's why
done,
he was
nothing.
pulling his fender, because that's where he hit.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay,
Correct.
it's coming back.
Yep.
I
Sorry to
did-
interrupt, though. Go ahead.
No,
My
you're
bad.
good.
My
The
bad.
last little bit is I used to host the Loose Lugs podcast for 2 years, and then we decided to part our ways on that. Just had too much going on. I host Gamers Do Sports now for Sectator Media. Now this is a part of Sectator Media, but that's enough about me. Phil, you have a long history of being in racing, and why don't you go ahead and just introduce yourself?
All right, so Phil, PO is 29. I grew up in it early 80s, well, mid 80s. I was born in 85. My uncles and my dad raced at Hudson Speedway up in New Hampshire. And then my dad was actually on the construction crew at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. So he did all the propane and gas lines and stuff in there. So as a kid, I got garage passes. I got to go where I want. My dad was like personal friends with Bob Bear, so like he just called him up and be like, hey, I'm on the way. So little hard story for me, but the week before Davey Allison died, I sat in his car at New Hampshire
No kidding.
in the garage area, 92. The week before they were at Loudon, he left Loudon and went to Talladega.
No kidding.
So my dad was an Earnhardt fan, but I told AJ before I started, I'm wearing the crew shirt from the Armor team. We'll get to that later, but I'm a man of many hats. So we'll start in the 90s. This is actually a new hat, but first hat we got, Ernie Irvan. Huge Ernie Irvan fan. Liked him at Morgan McClure. Went through from there, got himself out, went to the Yates ride. Awesome. Loved it. The story is, you ever read his book?
I've not.
I'll get it to you. It's good. You'll have to read it. He came from, he earned everything he got, like most guys back then. They worked their asses off, and he packed up his stuff in a truck and drove from California and moved here. Had nothing. Met Earnhardt. Earnhardt sponsored his first ever Cup start.
Okay.
So yeah. So Ernie's actually a good common friend of ours. Jeff is actually engaged to Ernie Irvan's daughter here in Florida now. So Ernie lives in Ocala. But I was an Ernie fan. I was a believer back then, but 94 leading the points over Earnhardt. Would Earnhardt have 7 if Ernie was around in 94? You're damn no way. Ernie was on it, dude. Like he had it wrapped up, and tire issues like they were going through all the time. And he died. He was dead. Said he'd never race again, and here he was. A year later at North Wilkesboro, he came back in the '88 car, and I was actually at his next win at New Hampshire in '96. I was there as a kid with my dad and my grandfather. Big memory for me. Cool thing. But then, he went, got hurt again. So I didn't have a driver for a couple years. He went to the Skittles car. Well, after that, we moved in. I got a new hat for him, as well. But I was a Harvick fan. Harvick took over for Earnhardt, not as like a spite of not liking Earnhardt as a kid, but just that's the story. That's it. It's huge. You got to roll with it. And I was with him until now. I rooted for other drivers. I rooted for Keselowski. I really like Keselowski. I think he's, even now, what he's got going, that team, some of the rumors I've heard for next year, you put the third driver in they want to put in. If he can perform like the other two, you get a good team there. So I'm really.
Phil's about to get into it, and this is why I trust what Phil says coming up here, and he'll get into all of it, but just take his rumors as known things that are legit.
I know quite a few people.
Source, just trust me, bro. Seriously, but like for real, it's
so this is into my next one. So 2014. All right, I'm gonna give a backstory on the next one with Armor. if you ever see one of those sweepstakes on Facebook where it's like, put your info in for a chance, no purchase necessary, put your damn info in for a chance, because there's no purchase necessary. Because I filled out a form, don't even remember doing it. Like back in early 2000s, I was really following NASCAR. Me and my wife, we were going to races with my dad and buddies, and you know, we were having a good time. This armor thing for a bad boy buggy, half electric, half gas golf cart that Harvick was sponsored by. So they had a contest. Well, I signed up, and I was one of 5 finalists for that. So it was in Homestead. They paid basically for everybody to fly. I didn't have to fly. So they gave me $500 cash plus an extra 500 spending. Had hotel, had everything, and I was one of 5 people. It was a 1 in 5 shot. It was random. You drew a key, and if the key started it, you won. I didn't give a damn about that golf cart, dude. Like, so we had a meet and greet with Harvick, which I'm a huge Harvick fan. Like, my wife will tell you, my family will tell you, I can walk up to Harvick now just through this armor deal. He's a regular dude. Ron Hornaday Jr. I drink beer with him. I've been drunk at his house with him. He was a crew chief on my local short track car here in Florida. But like to this day, going back, I can't talk to Ernie.
You just
Dude, I fangirl 100%. So I was at a local short track race. His son was racing with friends of ours, and I had the timing and scoring on my phone, and he's like, "Hey, you mind if I look at that for a minute?" And I was just like,
"Yes, sir, Mr. Irvin."
My wife's like, "Just hand him your phone," and I did, and I was like, "Oh my god, I feel like I went stupid. Like, there's nothing there anymore, dude." Like I saw him at Bristol a couple times, stuff like that, and it's just that way. Like I can't. But from what I've heard, he's just a regular dude. But to this day, it doesn't, like, nobody else excites me like that. So it's pretty cool knowing, like, you know, your childhood hero is here and he's around, and you know. But so my next hat goes along with my shirt. So we've got the armor. So I end up as a finalist in this contest. Turns out a guy who was the marketing director of the company who was in charge lived locally here in Northport, where you live, actually, not far from you. And him and I got connected up. I told him I was local racing, became friends, built him cars, did a bunch of stuff. And 2018, he came to me and said, "Hey, you want to work for me part-time this year? Get to do a couple races, you know, go have fun." I was like, what kind of question is that?
Yeah,
of course.
Shouldn't even have asked. Just told me where
So
to be.
I did Bristol and Homestead the first year, and late 2018 they came to me and made me an offer to do it full time for the year. So I did about 26 weeks on the road. 22 of them, I think, or 18 of them, I believe, were races. Like, I was either around the track, near the track, but I had my hard card. I could go where I wanted. If I didn't want to go to the race, I didn't go to the race. But like, other than that, I had guests. Like I set up at the fan zone with the armor simulator, NASCAR simulator, and people, I gave them free sausages and they played video games, dude. Like, and then after the fan zone wrapped up, I had to get everything closed up on my own and haul ass inside and do like PR for, you know, we'd have guests from Winn-Dixie or Piggly Wiggly or grocery stores or contest winners or whatever. And I had to give them garage tours, and I introduced them to a lot of drivers. I have a lot of Ross Chastain, a buddy of mine. I raced against his little brother, Josh Williams.
Another two local guys right there.
Yeah, Josh Williams, Port Charlotte, Florida. Me and Josh have a real personal connection. It's it goes a little further than racing, but it's I'll tell you, I was in an accident. Josh was there, and he had a similar accident, and he came, you know, like he was one of the people there, like hand on my shoulders, keeping me calm, like, "Hey, I know what you're going through. You know, it's cool." And him and I, like, I could say I've been nut shotted by a NASCAR driver in Victory Lane at Homestead because he freaking nut tapped me so hard last year, bro. It wasn't even funny. And he does it like, it's just, that's our relationship. That's my boy. I can call him. Like, I got his number in my phone. I text him.
Bro,
we talk shit about Ross a lot. It's actually what happens in there.
I've got a cool little short Josh Williams story. Before I even met you, Phil, I was wanting to maybe get into racing at 417. I think it was, what was it at the time then? It was the name before Three Palms.
Yeah, it was Three Palms, if that's what you want to call that.
Yeah, so it was Three Palms then.
Hey, I'm stepping away. I'm moving a fan real quick. Give me just a second.
You're good. So it was Three Palms at the time. It changed names like 3-4 times in that span. And I was wanting to get into racing, and a coworker of mine's wife worked with his mom at whatever she was doing. Told me that he raced in ARCA and all that. He was from Port Charlotte, and to either hit him up on Facebook or Twitter and see how like to get into racing and stuff like that. So I shot my shot, sent him a DM on Twitter, and he got right back to me, told me to kind of start out in the mini stock stuff if I'm just learning, and kind of work your way up from there. And it ended up, he was driving the 6 car in ARCA at the time for his own race team. And I asked him, I said, can I use a number 9, but use it in your number style and flip it? And he's like, yeah, absolutely, 100%. So that was cool. And then a couple weeks later, he was running like an ARCA contest for his race team. He told me, he messaged me on Twitter, said, enter this contest I'm doing. And then like an hour later, he said, I won it. And I'm like, that's just cool. It was like a hat, a shirt, hero card, and all that. So it was cool, man. Like, Josh is a cool guy.
He's just a regular dude. Like, that's what I love about a lot of the up and coming guys. Like, I'm not going to name names right now. We'll get into that later. There's a lot. There's a lot we'll get into. No, I won't do it.
The football.
But like guys like Gregson, guys, I don't like him. You know that. Austin Hill is very good with the fans. That's the biggest thing that I think the sport is missing nowadays, is they took away that fan element. That was, we talked about that before. It's not as hands-on. It's not as face-to-face. You don't, other than like a fan zone driver interview, there's no interaction. You know what I mean? It's not the same anymore. So it's that's taken away a lot of the sport, but I think there's good things happening too. So
absolutely. But
let me wrap up this backstory here real quick, and then we'll roll in and we'll get into some of the stuff, the stuff now. So I did this armor deal about a year and a half. COVID happened. That was it. We were done. I still had a couple races. I did Pocono, Dover for Wise Markets with Ross, actually. If you look back to Ross's first truck win at Pocono, he was driving for Nice in the white and blue truck. He's actually wearing a Weiss Markets fire suit. And if you go to his Twitter and look, there's a video of him in Victory Lane, and he's got a watermelon beach ball, and they're passing it around. Well, the camera pans, and it's me standing there holding the watermelon beach ball in Victory Lane.
That needs to be your profile picture, bro.
Yeah, it was cool. Like I've done some stuff. So when he won at Daytona for Colleague in the 10 car, the first time he won, I was wearing an armor. I have like gray polos that said armor, and I was always dressed nice. Well, he won. He was our driver for the other team. Well, we had a car in the field. I couldn't go to Victory Lane. I literally had to look around to somebody that was the same size as me and be like, give me your freaking shirt so I can go into Victory Lane. Ian, my little brother Ian, was actually there. And Ian's a little smaller than me. So I'm like, I'm in Victory Lane, and it's like medium shirt, dude. Just like
it's just holding in the love handle.
Yeah. So it was cool, dude. I got relationships with a lot of people. Like I said, Hornaday came down and crew chief actually this weekend. 5 years ago, Hornaday was down here. He actually bought me a motor for my race car, and then crew chief for my race car after we blew it up on Friday. He crew chief for me Saturday, dude. It just like regular dudes. And then like now, like I said, I'm a Chastain fan. That's my boy. I root for him. But honestly, it's I'm just a fan of racing. Like you and I talked about it. Like I have people I root for, but I just like good hard racing. I like Atlanta. I like this new format because it makes them drive the balls off it the whole way around. Yesterday in the Xfinity race, they were just sideways all the way around. It's the way they're doing these tracks. It's cool. Do I want to see more short tracks? You're damn right. Who doesn't? But I'm a short track guy. Part of the backstory there. I've been around short track racing my whole life. My dad and my uncles raced in the 80s. I started in 2010. I've got multiple wins on the asphalt. I got one dirt win. I I'm actually looking to go road course racing. I want to try it all. I've done drag racing. I just like cars. I like motors. I like to go fast. You know.
And you're doing the Danger Ranger this year, aren't you?
I actually am not going to make it. I have run out of time. I've only got a month and I can't. So I actually have another truck, and I think I'm going to actually make that an SCCA truck, and I'm going to go run like Sebring Daytona.
I told you the day you start getting that all put together, like I'm there with you.
I ran Crown Vics at the Freedom Factory. I've raced at DeSoto when before Freedom Factory 417. Like you said, I had multiple 10, probably
We
10
can
or
do
12
hours
wins
on the
there.
417 stuff.
Yeah. And Josh Williams' dad actually owned that racetrack too, back before Three Palms. Josh Williams' dad was the owner of that track.
I feel like I go far back with that track because I remember when Randy Fox was racing out there.
Mm-hmm. So I've been going there since the 90s. My best friend Brandon from high school, there's three of us that we've known each other 25 years. We talk almost on a daily. But they were the first two people that took me honestly into the pits and at a racetrack when we were in high school, and I was hooked, But I didn't have money to do it as a kid. We didn't have the money to do it. My parents didn't have the money, so I waited. And when my wife and I got together, I moved away for a couple years. I spent a lot of time at Thompson Speedway, Stafford Speedway, Waterford Speed Bowl, a bunch of tracks up in New England for like 2-3 years. And when I came back, like her and I got together, and I told her, I said, listen, as soon as I have money, I'm buying a race car. A year later, I had my first car. My son was born in September. I bought my first car in September of 2009. I bought my first car in February of 10. And I mean, other than a couple breaks here and there, I've been racing since. And like right now, I don't have a car, but I'm here. I crew for people. I go have fun.
You're at the track like every weekend. Still.
Yeah, it's just, it's racing's in my blood. That's my getaway. Life right now, life sucks for everybody. Sometimes you just need to shut it off and go have fun. And doing shit like this, bullshitting about racing, going racing, playing racing games, watching racing YouTube. Like, I just
Phil,
like racing.
We never even got to the point where you and I met, which is to me one of the funniest stories.
Racing.
It was racing. So when I was living with my parents, and naturally this is 3-4 years ago now, maybe 5.
Probably about 5. I had my white car then, I believe, right?
Yeah, you were just transitioning it from asphalt to dirt.
Okay, yeah. So that was 2021. So that was 3 years ago.
So I'm pulling down the little side street to get down to my parents' house where I was living. And I look in the garage of a house over to my left-hand side. I'm in the work van, I think, when this all happened. And I see a race car in a garage. So I got like 3-4 houses down, and I'm like, man, I got to go see what that is. So I throw the van in reverse. I reverse all the way back down to this house. And it was your parents' house.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine what the hell they're thinking. Why this guy in a work van just went flying past our house and then backed up all the way to it. I get out and just start asking questions. Like, you guys race and all that, this, that, the other. And your dad was telling me, yeah, it's my son's car. He raced down at Punta Gorda, and now he's transitioned to dirt. And I think you were there at the time. You were inside or something. You came out and just pretty much gave me the once over on the car and all that. And then every day after that, every time that garage door was open and I saw you there, Phil, your parents, and working on the car, I'd stop by, just pop in, say hello, see how things are going, and the rest is history from there.
We started iRacing together, and
we've hung out at the tracks a couple times. We iRace now. I do a half-assed job of race control in your leagues that you run.
You do a fantastic job at race control. But
we have a good time with it, man.
I mean, dude, it's just racing, dude. Like even when we're on playing iRacing, we're racing, we're bullshitting about racing, like local racing, NASCAR, whatever. Like me, you, and Brandon. Brandon's cool. Like I told him I want to get him on one weekend just to bullshit with us. He's got a pretty cool history in racing and stuff, and he's like, him and I are the guys that paint schemes. You and I do it too. Paint schemes. We'll just send them back and forth. Like, oh, bro, look at this one for this week. This is sick. And we do it almost every day. Somebody will come out with something. He'll send it, be like, yeah, I found this one first. And like, we compare, and it's just like, it's an easy way for us to connect. That's what we've always.
We all
known
have a
together.
bond over racing.
Yeah. My kid, my dad, my brother. Like, there's nights where there's 10, 15 of us on here just talking shit, watching racing.
No one's even running anything. We're just sitting there bullshitting about racing.
Yeah, it's just, it shuts it off for me. That gives me something it's my getaway.
Dude.
So,
and then this show came to be. So what we're going to do is we're going to do basically previews of the Cup race that afternoon or that evening, which I don't understand why they ran Atlanta at 3:00 on NFL opening Sunday. On a track that has lights, they should have ran that shit at 8:00 tonight or run it last night. But here we are. So yeah, we'll do rundowns on the race that's coming up. We'll review Xfinity truck, whatever happened in the weekend, the news leading up to it.
Dude, Xfinity's been drama lately.
On my old podcast on Loose Lugs, I always said Xfinity is tenfold better racing than what Cup is.
But you know what I like about them though? So you saw the wreck between Allgaier and Custer.
Yeah.
And Custer said, "I'm not making a call until I see a replay." And he said he saw the replay and he said, "You can't tell me that little of contact caused a tire to go down, but that's racing." Nobody was mad. Nobody got out and fought. Like, that was a racing deal, 100%. And that's what this type of racing brings. Like he said, you got a side draft. You got to, like, what they've done in Xfinity right now is what should have been happening for years.
Oh, for sure. The problem with Xfinity is they brought the same package back to Atlanta that they used in the race before this year.
Yeah.
And whereas you'll watch Cup today and you'll see 2 wide, 3 wide all over the place.
They were single file and nobody could get a run.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Unless you had 3-4 cars that went down to the bottom with you, no one was going down there.
Josh Williams.
And it's Josh Williams, a great example. And it's all because the minute they get out of the draft, not only do they slow down, they're going so fast that the car won't hold at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
They need that difference of air where a car is pushing it to keep it level with the ground. And they just can't. They're moving really fast. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
And they're going fast.
I mean, what are they hitting, like, speed-wise into straightaway? They're 200 plus, right?
Dude, I wish they had average speeds for race.
So while you're looking that up, I'm going to talk a little truck facts. So, like, big news after they ran there last week, no Milwaukee Mile next year for trucks.
What's that again?
No Milwaukee Mile for the Truck Series next year. After they just ran there a couple weeks ago, they announced they're not going back next season.
No, but they're going to be
I know they're adding a bunch of cool stuff up top, but I mean, I'm okay with it. But Milwaukee's one of those tracks. You got New Hampshire, you got Milwaukee, but what else is like that they race now? Like, I think everything's cookie cutter mile and a half for the trucks. I want to see more of that flat short track racing where they can go to door. I mean, that Milwaukee race a couple weeks ago was a pretty decent race, a lot of passing. I watched quite a bit of it. But they're off for a couple weeks. I think they're back for Bristol. So, 2 weeks? Thursday the 19th, week and a half, they're back.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the problem with Truck Series is there's such long lulls in their schedule.
Yeah.
And like, beginning of the season, it's almost like every week all 3 series are going at the same time. But then, like, you get to that middle part in the end, and it's like every other week, every 2 weeks. It gets to be a lot.
I wish they would make that its own series. Give them, I mean, horsepower and stuff's fine, but take them to more, like, shorter tracks.
Right.
There's so many half miles and stuff, 5/8 miles, 3/8 miles, that you could run a decent show with, run heats in a feature, 24, 28 cars start the feature, go, And I think it would be way better racing. Bring it back to its roots. I mean, look what that series started in 95. It was all short tracks besides Phoenix, I think, was the biggest one they ran. They ran all other short tracks out west when it first started off.
Trying to find, like, just fastest lap, because it averages the speed, and naturally when you have cautions, red flags and stuff, like, it drops it down to a 118, and they weren't going 118 all day yesterday.
Average speed for qualifying for pole was 179.267.
So you throw that into a pack of cars, you're probably borderline 200.
Yeah, easily.
You know,
Yeah, there's no practice, so you can't look it up.
that's a whole different animal. I don't know how they get through these weekends without any practice, hardly any practice.
Sim,
Dude, but that's like going back to what you said earlier, how tracks changed and how the sport kind of changed. It was great when you would go to a track on Saturday and catch happy hour. Is your best chance to catch a driver or something going to and from or whatever. You can't do that anymore. Like the accessibility, while it's still better than any other sport around, it's still so minimal compared to what it used to be.
I've done a little bit of road racing stuff as a fan this year. I've gone to Sebring for a few smaller shows, Trans Am Series, a couple other ones like that. Dude, the fan, like the closeness you get, like no matter what your ticket is you buy, you're in the paddock area and everybody's there. And I mean, big names are there racing. Like we took my son's got a roof panel off of Paul Menard car. We took it there. Paul Menard autographed it. Wally Dallenbach was there racing. Like these guys are still accessible, and they're still like Wally Dallenbach was not great by any means.
Better commentator than he was driver.
See, he was decent in the 90s with the Roush era, Keystone Beer. He didn't run bad there.
Right.
But
you didn't like his broadcasting though, right?
Negative. I liked his broadcasting.
Oh, okay.
Oh, speaking of broadcasting,
where's our Bill Weber update?
Are we going to get into this Bill Weber thing on the first show that we went into the rabbit hole or what?
Dude, the day this pre-race show came to be, we were shooting the shit on old broadcasters and we're like, what's Bill Weber up to lately, considering all the new broadcast changes and the new channels that they're going to? I said, I think he's doing magic somewhere. And then we found out that he was doing magic at a hotel in St. Petersburg. So that was like from 10 years ago. So I said, I wonder if he's still in the area. Searched it up. Someone on Reddit found Bill Weber at a hot sauce shop in Tampa.
That wasn't Bill Weber, though. That was Bill Weber who ate Bill Weber.
It was... Bro, this
Time
picture
has not done Bill Weber well.
In the face, you could tell it was Bill Weber.
Oh, 100%.
But the build looks like Bill Weber ate Bill Weber. So apparently he owned like a hot sauce shop in Tampa, and we did some investigative research and narrowed it down to which hot sauce company it was based off the Yelp reviews.
Borderline stalking, but we pulled it off.
I don't know if he's still in the area.
Bill Weber,
it is the same building.
Hit us up.
Yeah, Bill Weber. If this comes across your desk or your buffet tray, you tell us when you want to come on.
We'll spit up a bush light on that one, dude.
Hey, uncensored, unfiltered, uncut.
We're gonna have a good time, guys. Seriously, I enjoy stuff like this, just banter, bullshitting, like news. So AJ and I got together last night to move into the next thing we want to talk about.
Yeah, the 2311 statement. So if you haven't been following this whole NASCAR charter thing, basically the owners and the team, or the owners and NASCAR cannot find common ground to sign this new charter. It's been the talk of the news cycle through NASCAR all season long.
And here's my take on it though. But like I see the fight. Like I see their reasoning. Like I saw a chart this morning. I was watching a video on YouTube. And the chart said the teams get, what was it, 8%, 12%, something. It's a low number. And then was it I think it was broadcasting gets like 40 something percent, and then the track gets the rest or whatever it was. I can't remember how it was, but it was like the tracks get way more than what they should.
And the owners aren't getting nearly what they deserve.
Right.
They are the driving force to the sport.
Yeah, the teams are getting nothing. And I mean, I see it because as a racer, as a local short track guy, I will tell you 100% the cost of racing is, up here, but the payouts from racing are still, they're not even on the screen. They're still the same payouts from like the 90s. Like Go support your local short tracks because those guys aren't out there to make money. They're out there to put a show on and have a good time.
100.
NASCAR, I love it, but it's about bank. I mean, like, I'll watch it. I'm not going to tell you I don't watch it. I watch almost every weekend. But it's just not the same for me. It doesn't give me that short track feel. But you go to Martinsville, you go to Bowman Gray, dude, you ain't even got to mention that now, man. Like,
That's going to be a shit show this year or next year.
The Coliseum was a lot better than I expected.
The Coliseum was a lot better, but this is not the answer.
I think it is, though. I think it is. Because here's why. You're using resources that are already there. How much do you think it cost NASCAR for 2 years to get in that LA Coliseum? I bet it's billions.
Yeah.
To come in and pave 2 years, have it ripped up.
The nice thing about the Coliseum was, though, that you get such a big market for eyes on the sport.
Yeah, but you got to think Bowman Gray is one of the original tracks. I mean, why for this long are you sitting? Is there something sitting dormant that's an hour away from the home of some of these teams? RCR is 15 minutes down the road, 10 minutes down the road, whatever. Like, why can't we utilize these short tracks that are nearby and save money for these guys? Go run
the stuff that's already built.
Right. That's my bitch. You got plenty of tracks that are shutting down that, you know. I'm not going to get into the whole 417 Speedway with Allegiant Airlines deal. We won't talk about that. We won't. I'm not going there. But, like, you know, that's my bitch as a fan is I understand the times are changing, and this is probably going to hurt a lot of feelings of some older people. Because, like you said, uncensored, unfiltered, we say what we want. But these guys have to realize NASCAR is not the same as it was in 1992. NASCAR's not the same as it was in 1985. NASCAR's not the same as it was in 79 when you had the fight. It's going to change with the times, and I hate to say it. I'm in the automotive world. Cars are changing. The sport's got to change and evolve into that same shit that they're doing. I mean, if you want it as close to stock as you can get, they got to do that. One lug nut, I like it. In all honesty, I like the pit stops at 7-8 seconds. Make it interesting. You do one slip up, it's done. You know?
I think it was last week. We were sitting there, fiance and I were watching the race, and Austin Dillon came into pit, and they pulled the lug nut off, and I'm watching the lug nut roll down pit road, and I like shoulder bumped her. I'm like, "Hey, the lug nut just fell off." She goes, "What are you talking about?" I said, "I just watched it roll away." Then you see his crew guy just start looking for where the nut is, and then you see the tire carrier pull one off of his belt or his helmet or something like that, give it to him. She goes, "How did you catch that?" One lug nut, easier to pay attention to one than it is 5.
You know, it's I understand, but like that's the thing that people got to realize is that, you know, like, it's evolving. You have to let it evolve, and you can't be pissed off about it evolving. You know what I mean? It's going to happen. It's time. It happens with everything, you know, like NASCAR is dead when Earnhardt died. No, actually, I think NASCAR got better.
It got more popular following that.
Well, safety-wise, you know, what's the last death we saw in NASCAR?
Would have been Earnhardt. You know, the safety innovations from there.
Think about the accidents, bro. Think about Priest's crash. I thought Priest was dead 100% when he crashed at Daytona.
Newman
100%.
at Daytona. We didn't leave. The thing with the Newman wreck was they pulled out the tarps, and it was like the same feeling when Earnhardt's crash happened. You just knew right away, like, this isn't good. And then sure as shit, they said that he was at the hospital and breathing on his own and all that. And I'm like, oh, fuck. How?
Yeah.
LaJoy damn hit that fucking door at 200 miles an hour, man. Or that window.
Have you seen the video of him? He's got that at his house.
Yeah. Yeah. He says it's a trophy. He goes, unlike all the other trophies, this one saved my life.
But you look at it, it's absolutely insane. The car
destroyed. So we were talking about the charter stuff, and this is the release from 2311 yesterday morning. 2311 decided to not meet a NASCAR imposed deadline last night to sign charter agreements for its 2 cars for 2025 to 2031. 2311's position is stated in a letter to NASCAR is that we did not have an opportunity to fairly bargain for a new charter contract. They go on. We notified NASCAR what issues needed to be addressed in writing at the deadline. We are interested in engaging in constructive discussions with NASCAR to address these issues and move forward in a way that comes to a fair resolution while strengthening the sport we all love. And finishing off with at 2311 Racing, we remain committed to competing at the highest level while also standing firm in our belief that NASCAR should be governed by fair and equitable practices. And essentially what that means, NASCAR is wanting to hold back 2 or 3 charters for their own use. Going to the road course side, kind of like Action Express is for IMSA. And they want to field those teams with a new manufacturer that they control. As a stand-up governing, sanctioning body, you can't have your hand in the competitive cookie jar.
Nope.
That you can't judge that process fairly. You can't. There'd be no way that I could ever see NASCAR penalizing their own team.
So that video that I was watching this morning about the charter deal, one thing the guy touched on in that video, you know what he called it?
What's that?
Michael Jordan's big swinging dick.
Yeah.
That's the way he put it. He said, listen, if you watched Michael Jordan last week, Michael Jordan has never been that amped up for racing.
No.
I met him at Pocono or Dover, one of them, I don't remember. I met him at one of the tracks. Huge thing. That was
that like Ernie Irvin?
No, honestly, he was in a hallway and I was in a suite and we opened the door and like I have friends and they pretty much were like, he's coming, and we opened the door and walked out and got a picture of him, and like just the size, that was it. But like just being in his presence, bro, you know, it's one of those things, like I didn't get to say hi, I didn't fist bump him, I didn't shake his hand, but just being there, that's a bucket list item for me. You know what I mean? I met Earnhardt when I was a kid, but that was different.
Right.
You know? But like from what this guy was telling me, it's, you think about it, you've got one of the most influential men in the world making billions of dollars a year on shoes. That's all he does now. But then he's getting endorsements, he's getting whatever else. But if you saw how into it he was, I think he's at the point where he's realizing, well, shit, I might be losing my ass on this. I got to do something to make a difference. If one of your biggest teams holds out, I mean, think about it. This would be like the Bucks saying, we're not playing football this year until you guys help us with this.
Right. Right.
How much money are you going to lose from that?
And tagging on to that, I think the coolest thing that we've seen in the last couple of years is Michael Jordan's always been an auto racing fan, motorsports fan. To see him go from an owner role, but when you see him at the track, how big of an actual fan he is and he's becoming is awesome.
Another unpopular opinion. I'll lay it out right here. No matter what anybody says, Bubba Wallace is one of the best things we have for the sport right now.
100%. 100%. And I love every time he takes the lead, I'm laughing because you could just hear the lightning fingers on the keyboards.
Now,
typing up.
I'm not going to tell you I'm a Bubba fan. I'm not. I think the dude's a driver, but his attitude is absolute shit.
He does have a bad attitude. 100%.
The NASCAR documentary. So here's something I'll say. The NASCAR documentary on Netflix, which I heard they started filming second season this week, following the guys on the bubble of getting into the championship, is what the first focus of the next episode will be, which I like that.
Yeah, for sure.
But on that, Bubba's attitude it struck me wrong. It just, the way he talked to everybody, the way he was, it made him look like an arrogant ass. Like, that's the best way I could put it. But that same show, I'll tell you 100%, changed the opinion for me on another driver. And I've never been a fan of this driver.
Denny,
100%. Dude, Denny's just doing what he's got to do. He's doing what he's there for. He's not there to bullshit. He's there to win. And I understand it. Like, when you have that many haters that want to see you fail, what's it make you do? It makes you want to do it.
Dude, the best way to describe Denny Hamlin, and I'm going to do a wrestling reference here, naturally. He is the CM Punk. He is the voice of the voiceless. Mm-hmm. He sits there and lays it out for you kind of like us, uncut, unfiltered. He's telling you what is going on and why it's a problem, not only from a driving side, but now as an owner side. That man literally knows the ins and outs of every single part of this sport now. So when he's sitting there telling you, like, this is bad for the sport, you need to listen to that and take that to heart. Like, what they're trying to do is bad. Which is why when I go to Bristol, I'm probably coming home with a 2311 hat, because I love that they're standing their ground on this. Front row too. Front row is also taking the stance at 2311. Okay. I've read articles that have said that NASCAR forced the hands of some other teams that signed it. Every other team that signed it except for these two were kind of felt like they were backed into a corner on it. That's a problem.
Kind of strange for me how one of them got the pole and one of them definitely did not perform.
Yeah, on NASCAR inspected engines that they tear down.
We'll get into that in a few minutes. That's next to come on the list. But like, like talking about this weekend in Atlanta, it's a crapshoot. It's a Daytona, it's a Talladega now. It could be anybody, So let's throw this out here right now, okay? Let's do our picks. So every week we're gonna make a pick. Okay. Well, we'll choose 3 drivers in the field. So we'll do the pick once entry list or release, whatever. Points at the end. We'll do something. I owe you a beer if you win. You owe me a beer if I win. That's what we'll do.
Dig it.
So let's start this, okay? Give me your final 4.
My final 4 as they stand right now. It's going to be Larson. It's going to be Reddick. It's going to be Denny. And this is where I struggle a little bit. That 4th driver right now is such a wild card because Byron has gone off a cliff in performance since the summer started.
So hold on, go back. Denny, Reddick,
Larson. And this next one is such a damn crapshoot. I'm gonna pick Christopher Bell, who's been next to Denny the most consistent JGR driver. Hasn't really had a lull yet this season. While he's not winning as many races as you would think he would win, he's in the top 10, top 5 consistently, especially at the end of the stages. So my 4 is going to be Larson, Bell, Reddick, Hamlin. But the Bell one could change.
Who do you have taking it?
I have Hamlin finally getting his first championship.
All right. I'm just making notes in the old phone so we have this saved.
I thought it was funny last week when he posed for a picture in Victory Lane with the regular season championship, and he goes, "I finally won a championship," and then asterisk as an owner.
Yeah.
That's like that curse breaker, In
all honesty, I think he's a prick, but he's so good.
And the tracks in the playoffs suit him so well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%.
Driving style. I think the more interesting, and I'm going to ask you your picks here, but I think the more interesting fact is who's the first 4 out. But who's your picks for the championship?
So I'm going to go Hamlin for sure. I'm going to throw Bell in there 100%. Reddick is going to be my second one. And then the last one's going to be Larson.
So we have the same final 4 picks.
Yep.
Like I said, that 4th one's like a crapshoot, though.
So C-Bell for me, I just think he's too strong at the end of the year.
Always.
Look at last year. He came on strong. He was there. You know what I mean? Hamlin, I want to see him take it. He's not my pick for the championship at all. But, dude, he's just impressed me. That show really changed my opinion about him, honestly. Larson, honestly, I don't think you can bet against Larson.
No.
No. I don't like his attitude. I don't like his attitude.
He's
just a Bowman's the same way though. When it goes good, it goes good. When it goes bad, everything sucks and it's terrible.
Yeah.
There's no in between.
Yeah, dude. And you look at, I think Homestead's in the round of 8.
Yep.
One of those 4 guys are winning Homestead. It's not going to be anybody else. It's one of those four.
It's going to be Larson, or I think it's going to be Larson, Bell, or Reddick. I don't think Denny's got it at Homestead.
Denny was strong at Homestead last year till that final run, which funniest part about that was being there and listening to Larson's scanner audio as he was coming to pit road, chasing down Blaney and just watching him plow the sand barrels.
So the big long shot, in my opinion, I think Hamlin out of the four is more of a long shot than anybody.
He probably is, but man, anything can happen there, especially when you got like the Roval in there, you got Dega in there.
Glenn's in there now next week.
Like this weekend, if you have a fantasy lineup that you're doing, I wouldn't be picking a single playoff driver for this one. I'd be just wasting picks on guys who aren't in the playoffs or guys that you think are going to be out this round. Mm-hmm. And that's where I wanted to get into. Like first.
Before we do that, let me tell you, out of the four, I'm representing. I'm giving it a try. I haven't tried it yet, but my pick for the championship will be Tyler Reddick, the Monster Energy Beast car.
Let's see. Let's get a first impression.
I just opened it.
Let's get a first impression here.
Tastes like a white Monster Energy with alcohol in it. I mean, it's like twisted tea. Tastes like tea, but it's got that weird bitterness from the alcohol. But it's good.
I freaking hate twisted teas, man. I can't do them.
I got some fruity IPAs in the fridge too, but these were my choices for while we were on here.
Dude, after softball on Friday, we go over to Bogey's because to me, Bogey's has the best wings around.
Oh yeah,
I love Bogey's wings. And we're sitting there. We're 2 pitchers down to Mick Ultra. And all of a sudden, one of the guys from the team ordered everybody at the table shots of Rumplemints. I've never had Rumplemints before, and I'll never have them again. That was awful.
Not a mint fan?
No, that was terrible. So, like, I used the peppermint Zins, and it tasted like I was swallowing a peppermint Zin.
100%.
And I was like, oh, my God, this is terrible.
That's a big New England thing, believe it or not. Cinnamon whiskey, mint stuff like that.
Dude, I'll do Fireball all day.
Oh, yeah, same.
I could do Fireball nonstop. Like, Fireball doesn't faze me nothing. Especially you mix it with rum chata. Have a little cinnamon toast crunch.
Little Rumplemans, one of them, dude, you're done. You're killed. That's it.
Dude, I had like a 3/4 of a beer left after I took that shot of Rumplemints, and I'm like, I don't know how the fuck I'm going to finish that.
It's like drinking Listerine, bro.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
That's exactly.
Total side story and not related to anything at all. But I just felt like I had to get that out there.
We have those moments, you know? All right, so now let's you hinted at it. Let me get your first 4 out.
My first 4 out, and I feel like you have a really obvious first 4 out here. I think it's Chase Briscoe. I think it's Harrison Burton. I think it's Alex Bowman. I think it's Daniel Suarez. But the motherfucker of all of this is today at Atlanta because it can change everything because you don't know who's going to win. Like, you can come to like any intermediate track, any short track, and just be like, yeah, it's going to be Larson, it's going to be Bell, could be Truex. Here, flip a coin, pick a random number. I mean, it's who's there at the end. It's survival.
Briscoe, Burton, Suarez. Who was the fourth?
Did I say Cindric? Bowman, Suarez, Briscoe, Burton.
Bowman. Okay. I'm going to go. Honestly, I hate to do it because I want to see him do good in his final one, but I think MTJ is going to be one of the first 4 out.
Kansas is his track, and it's in this round.
I don't see it, though. They've just been struggling too bad, though.
But realistically, don't you think Truex has checked out since like last year, maybe even 2 years ago? Since Cole Pern left.
Did you see the announcement this week?
That Cole Pern's going to be his crew chief for Daytona next year.
Well, that's if 2311's around for Daytona next year. We'll see what happens with
that's if we're not in a lockout next year.
But I'm gonna go MTJ. I'm gonna go the obvious of Burton. Suarez for sure. This next one's tough for me, but I'm gonna go Cindric.
Yeah, Cindric was another one for me where I was.
I think you're gonna see. Because you've got Briscoe in and it's the end of that SHR, I think you're going to see a lot of attention on that that 14 car. I think he's going to run better these last few races.
I mean, Bristol's in this round, and Briscoe always runs well at Bristol.
Yep.
That's a good.
He's usually pretty decent on road courses too.
Yeah, no, that's not a bad assessment there.
No, I think you're going to see him more of not an attack mode. I think he's going to be in more of a points mode, just chilling, trying to get what he can.
You'll know today. You'll know what drivers are going for it today.
I'm excited, dude. I'm like, Atlanta is one of my favorite tracks to watch. Like, ever since they did these changes, I think it changed the racing. And that, to me, like, I was a huge fan of the tandem drafting when they had two cars. That was cool to me. It's all about who had the biggest balls to keep your foot in it and just keep shoving.
I didn't like it at first. Now that we're like 8-9 years removed from it, I miss it.
Think of that finish with Boyer, Gordon, Johnson, all them, where they were like 2x2. They had 2 lanes 4 wide at the finish, and it was like nothing, And all it was 2-car tandems. Just
the thing is, they could do that today with
100%.
the current package, but because there's so much fuel saving, it keeps everybody bunched up in a pack now.
So my biggest bitch, I'll get into one of my biggest bitches about the new car while we're into it. So one of my biggest complaints is the shifting. I want to see these guys be able to have gearing where if it's a 4th gear track, you just put it in 4th, let it hit the chip and roll.
Right.
The shifting is great, but in all honesty, some people, I'm not doubting these guys. These guys are fucking professionals, but that's hard. When you're in the heat of the moment, when you're driving into that corner a little harder, and you have to downshift, what's it going to do? It's going to wheel hop. It creates a lot more bullshit. I think you either get it so you're in 5th or you get it so you're in 4th and you leave it there. Road courses should be the only place.
Shifting is for road courses. 100%.
In my opinion. That's my Pocono, sure. Indy, yeah.
Hearing a guy last week at Darlington go from 5th gear to 4th gear to make the corner just kills it for me.
Same.
I mean, that's it. It almost feels like a cheat, like a crutch.
It shouldn't be something that changes the outcome. It should be something that, like, the only time you're shifting on a circle track should be on restarts, and that's it.
If we're sitting here doing armchair officiating, I don't think a choose should exist at road courses or super speedways. I think that needs to stay with intermediate tracks or short tracks. That's where it should stay.
I'll agree. But at the same time, a counter on that, though. You got guys like, say, yesterday in the Xfinity race, Josh Williams chose the outside and gained 8 positions. Sometimes riding around benefits, and I think that's part of the strategy on those races is the little guy gets a better shot. You get somebody like BJ McLeod getting up there, being able to choose and stuff.
Then you run into the problem of nobody wanting to go with you, though, like you saw with Josh yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I don't understand that. Like, I get it. I mean,
he was the only guy that wanted to win at the end of that race yesterday.
100%. He's the only one that even tried to poke out and make a move on anybody.
How and what was Chandler Smith doing? Just staying behind Hill for the last 8 laps. Like he'd suck right up to him and then never went anywhere with it.
The only one that even tried to do something was Corey Hyman. He did it the wrong way.
100%.
That was the first thing I messaged you yesterday. I don't stick up for Austin Hill. Austin Hill is my least favorite Xfinity driver. I'll say it right now. But Austin Hill did nothing wrong. He's the leader. He's running his lane, and Heim tried to force it in a hole that wasn't there and got put in the wall. I mean,
I saw a tweet from somebody who said, like, of course, Austin Hill, who complains about how everybody else races him, is going to shove a guy into the wall. And I'm like, Heim sent himself up there.
100%.
Hill was blocking the top, but it wasn't like he was going an extra lane higher to block it.
No. It's one of those things like, it's as a racer, I see both sides, but at the same time, it's everybody's trying to gain an advantage. They're all trying to do the same thing and get that little bit on everybody.
I don't even think Heim bitched about it either after the race. Like,
no.
Normally, like, if someone felt like they got forced into the wall like that, they're the first ones in an interview to be like, yeah, dude, he threw me right in the wall.
That's a product of that racing, though. You gotta make moves to it. If there's a minute hole, you're going for it, and either somebody's getting right reared or you're going to back out and make it like he did. I mean,
100%.
look at the Allgaier and who was that? That was
Custer.
Taylor Gray and Custer. Yeah, when they all met in the middle there. Hard racing, Allgaier cut a tire. It happens,
Yeah, that's got to be like the worst feeling when you go into a turn and there is no turn. There's just no turn in the car.
Yeah.
I do have some picks here, some betting picks from Vince Brent. Vince Brent Forever on Twitter. He's going to be sending us some picks, some betting picks for the week. Before qualifying yesterday, he had Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano. Current odds, Ryan Blaney are plus 850, Joey Logano plus 1100 on Hard Rock Bet. So you want to try to make yourself a little bit money today? I'll never recommend betting on super speedways, but if you're going to, that's who he's going with this week.
If you don't follow Vince on Twitter and Facebook, you need to. His posts and his photos of all the stuff he does is amazing.
Oh, dude, Vince is one of my favorite people. And the funniest part is he's the biggest Chase Elliott hater.
Mm-hmm.
And him and I become really close friends. And again, he's a big Tennessee fan, hates Georgia. I'm a Georgia fan. And we met up in Daytona earlier this year. Started shooting the shit there at the track and all that. And I mean, both of us, I'm excited to be up there with all them in 2 weeks. And they're telling me all the stuff I need to be doing and all that. I think we all got our tickets together and all that. So it's going to be a good time.
This Homestead?
Homestead is October. I have the schedule up here.
Are you going?
I'm not going. I did. Bristol kind of threw it off for any other race for me this year. Because that'd be 3 races this year, and I've hit my limit at that point.
All right.
Homestead.
I was going to maybe make some phone calls and see what I could do and go over on Friday.
I mean, if you want to make some phone calls, I'm here for it. Where the hell is Homestead? Why is it not?
Cup Series schedule.
Why am I not seeing it?
Oh, because they already ran it. This is next year. Hold on. I'm an idiot. I'm in the wrong schedule.
That's why. You're 100% right. Because I'm looking at next year's schedule.
Homestead is October 27th.
There you go. Yeah, the NASCAR page had it on the 2025 schedule. That's what was going on.
Jayski.com. That's where I get all my stuff.
Homestead. Straight Talk Wireless 400. It's no longer the Ford EcoBoost 400.
So, cool little fun fact about me. Another one from Homestead. Did you know I was part of the Guinness World Record attempt with Ford? And we actually hold the Guinness World Record.
What was the record?
Largest banner flown from a vehicle around the racetrack.
Well, is it the big championship weekend banner?
No, it was the American flag.
Oh, no kidding.
So let me see, that was 2016. My buddy Tommy Steyer, who passed away, actually called me up and they needed some help. So me and my wife went down and joined up with them and helped them. Basically, we held the flag while this F450 did an absolute ridiculous burnout to get the turbo spooling up, and he took off, and then we had to catch the flag when they came back in. So there's video of it. I'll have to send it over to you.
Dude, you send it over to me. We'll play it next week.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a cool deal. They've done it, like they've flown it every couple years. I think now Ford's not there. I don't know if they'll still use it, but it was pretty cool.
No,
what else you got, bro? Anything else?
Dude, I mean, we went over Austin Hill winning yesterday. We're in Atlanta today. We talked about how it's a crapshoot. You want to do picks for the race today?
Well, let me ask you one question. How do you feel about SVG in the 88?
Deserving.
I like it.
He's deserving of it. And
a lot of people talk shit. Like it's that whole the foreigners need to be in NASCAR. NASCAR needs him. And let me tell you, the adaptation that man has done in the couple months he's been here is unreal.
Have you ever seen a foreign driver embrace NASCAR the way SVG has? Juan Pablo didn't. Sam Hornish really didn't. Dario didn't. You know,
Jacques Villeneuve sure as hell didn't.
Jacques Villeneuve.
Yeah.
Old debris caution himself.
But you know the days of like my opinion, you think about back in the 90s when we had the big road course ringers and early 2000s when you had Fellows and you had, you know, all these big name road course guys that would come in and they'd actually be worth a damn. You know, now you got Kobayashi who comes in. That dude should stick to eating hot dogs instead of coming out and trying to run the 20.
I don't think it's the same guy, Phil.
You don't think it is?
I don't think it's the same guy.
Google it right now. Google it right now. It is 100% the freaking hot dog eating champion, Kobayashi.
It is not the same guy.
Just wait.
No, that's totally different first names, bro.
No, dude, I'm telling you, dude, it's a hot dog eating guy.
Bro, I'm reading a Reddit thread. It says Joey Chestnut is in shambles.
As you can tell, the next few weeks are going to be exciting because we're going to get off track a lot. So, where you're going to Bristol, what's the plan? We got to pre-record a Bristol, or
We are going to pre-record a Bristol.
okay?
We'll do that on like Monday. So I think it's the last day I can do it.
I've got some stuff I'm gonna work on. I'll send you some ideas. I got some pretty good ideas for this little deal we got going on here.
100%. I'm in for it.
So
I'm in for it. Here's a history question for you before we go into picks for today.
yeah,
Do you know who holds the track race record at Daytona or at Atlanta?
Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
Let me think about this.
I'm only asking because it's on the qualifying results page.
90s, early 2000s.
I will give you it is in the 90s.
Bobby Labonte.
No, sir. On November 12th, 1995, at a race time of 3 hours, 3 minutes, 3 seconds, and an average speed of 163.633 miles an hour, it was Dale Earnhardt in the number 3.
Really?
You think about that. That's old configuration Atlanta. That's like Darlington look Atlanta.
So
That's quick.
To bring up a little history, so one of my favorite drivers watching back in the 90s, like late 80s, early 90s, and I mean, this dude was around forever, but Morgan Shepherd, bro.
Dude, old roller skater himself.
But like when he ran for the Wood Brothers in that Citgo car in the early 90s, late 90s, 92. He joined Wood Brothers in 92. Finished second to Davey at Daytona. But he had a bunch of wins. Like, this is the thing, like I talk about the love of the sport. Like, this man, think about how many drivers are gone that were like relevant. Like, think about, go back and think, who was James Busher? Remember James Busher?
Yeah.
Won the truck championship and then just disappeared, bro. Gone. You know, like, think about that. Dylan Kwasniewski, sponsored by Rockstar Energy, gone. Like, top driver, just disappeared. I mean, this is shit I want to get into. I want to get into some of this, like, older history stuff while doing some of the newer stuff. Like, that's the thing me and AJ said. We want to throw some random shit in here. Like, there's so many fun facts, like, hidden in the NASCAR history that, like, people don't know about.
Next week when we don't do a 45-minute bio to start the show, we'll be able to hit stuff like that for sure. Like, I'm looking forward to that. Those are the discussions.
That's my favorite thing to do is like just sitting here bench racing. Like, I could do this all day. Me and my dad do it. Me and my father-in-law do it. My father-in-law's a big road course racing fan, so he's actually the one getting me into the road course stuff now. And him and I will bench race about IndyCar and stuff. A what? A set head? No.
No?
He's actually he's a Ford fan. So his father was a Ford engineer in the 50s and 60s.
Bro, Boris said talking about Greg Biffle might be my favorite interview ever.
I'm gonna whoop his ass. I don't know, the nut shot. Who was that? Who nut shotted freaking? That was Franchitti, wasn't it? That nut shotted somebody.
Oh,
Kicked him square in the dick or Pappas.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't remember.
I don't know, dude. My one road course memory above all else is when Danica's leading at what was it? Was it Watkins Glen or no? It was yeah, was it Watkins Glen?
I think
Where she
so.
was leading and the fan threw the shoe on the track. She ran that shit
Yeah.
right over. Like
What
she
did I
had that
just
race
hit?
won.
But there's a lot of stuff like to lay it out. I want to have a segment pretty much like every week talking about something from the old days, an old race that brings back memories, something like that. Like one
go off the
segment of, like,
track.
in the past, you know?
Yeah, we can go off of the tracks. Like, you know, we're in Kansas next weekend. We can talk about an old Kansas race. Not that there's huge history to Kansas, but there's a lot of
Can't talk
stuff
about
that's
Kansas
happened.
without Clint Boyer. Or wasn't Kansas where Edwards used to ride his bike from Missouri like freaking 9 hours?
Oh, dude, Edwards was an animal.
Yeah.
You see, he's the grand marshal for the Roval.
You see who's Grand Marshal this? I think it's this weekend. Ricky Rudd.
I thought, oh yeah, is it Ricky Rudd this weekend?
Ricky Rudd and somebody else. I can't remember who it was. Ricky Rudd and Edwards for the Roval. Okay, it's both of them for the Roval. I knew I saw Ricky Rudd in there too.
I like to see Ricky Rudd back in the car.
Dude, there's a lot of guys. I'd like to see Harry Gant back in the car.
Dude, Harry Gant's a good one. I'd throw Terry Labonte in there.
Listen, even though Marlon's got the Parkinson's, he can still wheel a race car, dude. He runs. No, seriously. He's still racing late models, dude. Killing it, winning races.
Dude, Kenny Wallace? Kenny Wallace, anybody?
I was a Kenny Wallace fan club member in the 90s, bro. Back when he drove the old Dirt Devil number 40.
Oh, not the Red Dog car?
Red Dog was, I mean, I think he was still Red Dog at that point. He was running the Busch Series Red Dog. But no, I think we got something cool here, dude. I think, you know, this is big. We get some cool people, other people to come in and relate with us. Just, dude, I don't care if it's fans, people who just want to come in and bullshit and talk to us for a day. Like, you know, we'll bring people on and chat. And I want banter. That's one thing I want. I want like you and me with the Austin Hill, and AJ talks a lot of shit, but I'm a big believer in the Sheldon Creed. I think he got done wrong, and AJ and I have a big difference there. But you know, it's
winless himself.
I want opinions like that. I want stuff like.
I would still say you want to get into a little bit of a preview of that. I still think Jesse Love's better than Sheldon Creed.
Yes. Yes and no. I'll say yes and no.
I mean, old boy's got what, a win, 2 wins this year? In the same car that Sheldon was in?
How many times did Sheldon get screwed out of a win, though?
I don't know. I mean, he kind of
got moved by his teammate at Martinsville. Got moved by his teammate at Martinsville.
He deserved it.
But no, seriously, guys, we appreciate it. This is what you guys have to look forward to, and like, this is real talk, no bullshit, no censoring. We're gonna tell you how we feel about it, and I think that's something missing in the sport. Everybody sugarcoats everything. You don't say it how it is. I think we need something like this to get out there and say, I don't like how this is, and I don't like how that is.
100%. I think it'll be cool too when we do like a live stream, because YouTube and Facebook absolutely suck when it comes to their live streaming guidelines. So next week we should be live on YouTube. The following week it'll be pre-recorded, and then every weekend thereafter we're here live. So that'll add a lot. In the description of this video, I'll put the links to our Facebook and Twitter pages. So go ahead and give us follows and likes on that. We'd really appreciate it. We hope you guys have a great time with this, as we're going to have
I want to add to that.
Mm-hmm.
Send us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. Send us ideas of shit you want us to talk about, like off-key subjects, like, you know, stuff people don't talk about a lot of times. We'll go into it. I don't care. Like, you know, I love the iceberg videos. You know,
dude, we could do a number on some iceberg stuff.
Oh yeah, we could do a lot of cool things. You know, so
we're excited. Phil, you got anything else to say before we close out today?
Nah, man. Appreciate everybody. Enjoy Atlanta. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. Atlanta, 3:00 today on NBC. Or is it USA?
I think it's USA today. This football's on.
Jesus. Hang on. We're looking this up now.
I'm on J-Ski. Hold on. It'll tell
Yeah,
me.
USA. It's USA.
Yep. USA.
3 o'clock USA. We're out of here. We'll see you next week for Kansas.
Appreciate it, everybody.
Thanks for joining.